to farmlands, from algorithms to daily life, artificial intelligence is no longer just a tool. It's the new infrastructure of power. In Silicon Valley, tech giants are racing to build the largest cloud empires in history. Massive projects like Oracle's Stargate and new generations of supercomputers promise to reshape the world's digital backbone.
I think this will be the most important project of this era.
On our screens, algorithms decide what we see, what we share, and what we believe. YouTube and TikTok compete for attention as AI begins to blur the line between human and machine creativity. And across the planet's fields, AI plows the soil, guiding robots that harvest food for a growing world. This is the global takeover, invisible, unstoppable, and already here.
True to its name, only Oracle seemed to see this coming.
Oracle is having its biggest jump since 1992.
What a blowout quarter for the software company.
Maybe the stock of the year.
And then, just days later,
TikTok's US operations are set to be acquired by a consortium including Oracle.
Oracle shares spike after it's named as part of the consortium.
What was going on? This was an old-school enterprise tech firm, tickling investors in places only a flashy startup normally reaches.
Because Oracle basically said that they have almost $500 billion of contracts to be earned in the next few years. And that was a shocker.
Everyone was modeling maybe, $150 billion.
It blew away analyst expectations.
Now, Oracle's deeply connected to one of the hottest social media properties on the planet, and behind one of the most ambitious infrastructure projects on the planet.
Oracle had been written off as a kind of IBM-like company. This is an incredible comeback story.
Clearly, we had an amazing start to the year.
This is Safra Catz.
Safra Catz is the CEO, and she's considered by Wall Street to be one of just the sharpest financial minds out there, right? I mean, investors love her.
Never more so than on September 9th, when she stunned Wall Street with Oracle's quarterly earnings.
They showed a spike in bookings at a scale which nobody had ever really seen before.
At the end of its fiscal first quarter, Oracle's $455 billion forecast was a four-fold increase over the same period a year earlier.
Infrastructure revenue alone will grow 77% to $18 billion this fiscal year.
So yeah, it was a good day to be Oracle co-founder Larry Ellison, whose net worth soared by $89 billion as a result, almost enough to buy Starbucks, or 4 Lululemons, or half a Qualcomm.
That was the biggest one-day gain ever recorded on the Bloomberg Billionaires Index.
He must have been very pleased. Online commentators were saying, okay, it's never too old to grow, right? He is 81 years old, and briefly, he is the world's richest man.
He started 2025 in fourth place. It was only in July that he passed Mark Zuckerberg to move into second place, even though him and Elon Musk are vying for first place. Ellison is also a major investor in Musk's company.
I'm very close friends with Elon Musk, and I'm a big investor in Tesla.
Musk quickly regained the title, but that this happened at all was a sign the world had wildly underestimated old-timer Oracle. Several things converged to give Oracle the leg up of a lifetime, and we're going to explain what they are. But first, it's worth a quick recap of Oracle's origin story and what it is the company actually makes. Larry Ellison founded Oracle in 1977, just a year after the emergence of Apple and 2 years after Microsoft.
In fact, he started working in a government job at the CIA, and that's how he got the idea for Oracle.
It was a crowded decade on Silicon Valley's maternity ward, with engineers in bell-bottom jeans delivering startup after startup to the sound of prog rock. Although it's possible Ellison wasn't listening to anything quite as fun.
He wanted to help businesses organize their private data more efficiently.
Oracle really pioneered the modern database.
In the early computer age, just heaps of information were being created. There needed to be a mechanism to keep track of all that. Oracle's database was one of the great cash cow businesses of all time.
And by 2025, Oracle's customers included some of the world's best-known companies, from AT&T to Walmart, Accenture, and Volkswagen. Their vast databases years, if not decades in the making. Think of them like the biggest, most sensitive and important folders of spreadsheets ever known to humankind. They're traditionally stored in what are called on-premises environments, basically on servers in the offices or facilities of the companies who own them. This helps ensure privacy and compliance.
A lot of these big companies started using Oracle databases back in the 70s or 80s and have never stopped.
All right, back to the present day. What did investors think Oracle's plan is?
One is to sell inference AI models to existing clients. The other one is to basically sell cloud computing capabilities or data centers.
The traditional leaders here, Amazon, Microsoft, Google, they're strained for capacity. And so Oracle figured, God, we got all this cash flow. We're printing billions off of our other businesses. We're able to use that to underwrite our growth into the cloud infrastructure.
But the plan surpassed external expectations. Here's how much Wall Street thought Oracle's infrastructure as a service business would generate over the next few years. But this is what Oracle says it now expects.
Some of these buyers, like OpenAI, have committed to almost $300 billion in compute that they want Oracle to provide them over the course of multiple years.
It's deals like that that have really prompted this investor enthusiasm around Oracle. A lot of investors and analysts are assuming that if it can do deals like that, there will be more coming down the line.
In August, NVIDIA CEO Jensen Huang said he expected as much as $4 trillion to be spent on AI infrastructure by the end of the decade. Which brings us to Project Stargate.
A lot of folks started paying attention to Oracle this year when they appeared at the White House next to Sam Altman, next to the president, announcing this Project Stargate, this kind of ambitious goal to invest hundreds of billions of dollars in AI infrastructure.
I think this will be the most important project of this era.
Project Stargate is a multi-year investment.
It's a partnership between Oracle, OpenAI, and SoftBank, and the goal is to build data centers for AI across the US.
OpenAI and Oracle have agreed to a cloud contract, which is probably the single largest contract in history, to build out these massive data centers across the US.
Ground has already been broken here in Abilene, Texas. But it's just the first, and its capacity is off the scale.
Oracle and OpenAI have agreed to about 4.5 gigawatts of computing power. That's about 2 Hoover dams. That's about 4 nuclear reactors, right? I mean, this is a sum of electricity that has never really been considered for data centers.
And so we come to another reason investors are taking a fresh look at Oracle.
Thank you, Mr. President.
He seems to have developed a pretty close relationship with the president.
Having that close proximity to the president, it's a big positive.
Particularly when it comes to deals and issues of national security.
We have to backtrack till 2020 when President Trump was trying to ban TikTok, worrying about it being a national security risk. And TikTok went to Oracle and said, hey, we need to expand our infrastructure.
Oracle right now pretty much runs the whole of TikTok US assets. And they've been doing that over the past 2+ years.
And when it comes to divesting from the Chinese parent company, when it comes to getting your data in a format that's going to appease lawmakers, Oracle has had a big part of this.
And it's what led to this.
Bloomberg understands that Oracle and Silver Lake are among the companies that will acquire TikTok's US operations.
US operations would be controlled by a group that you've come to know pretty well in Silicon Valley.
I feel like we'll be in the retirement home one day analyzing this.
Well, if we are, at least it'll now be grounded in a better understanding of the reason for excitement around Oracle's blow-up numbers. But let's be real, investments and commitments of these scales, the risks are huge.
Among all the hyperscaler providers, Oracle is the most leveraged and is bleeding the most cash.
Oracle, one of the world's great cash cow businesses, has gone negative free cash flow on this build out. CEO Safra Catz said that CapEx was going to be $9 billion higher than expected, and investors were excited. And the reason for that is that the sooner they put the CapEx in, the sooner they get these data centers up and running, the sooner they can recognize revenue from all these customers.
When you look at the $300 billion contract with OpenAI, there are 2 questions. Question number 1 is whether Oracle has the money to put all the capital expenditure in to buy all the NVIDIA chips and lease out the data centers so that it can service OpenAI. On the other hand, does OpenAI have the $300 billion to shell out?
OpenAI has committed to giving Oracle more money than it has in revenue today. It's assuming that the current growth rates continue. And so if anything goes wrong there, This is a serious risk for Oracle.
Okay, hi. So, my name is Boxy, and it's been a while since I made a new video.
I first heard about YouTube when I was in high school.
Hey, it's Fred! I went to a party with Daniel, and he kissed me.
Just kind of wondering, what is that?
I have this really vague memory.
They have really long trunks.
I believe it might have been the first YouTube video ever.
It was, and featured trunk enthusiast and YouTube co-founder Javed Karim. And it ignited 20 years of liking, commenting, and subscribing. 20 million videos are uploaded to YouTube every day, and the site's estimated to account for about a fifth of all internet traffic. In the US, people spend more time watching YouTube on TV than Netflix, Amazon, or all of Disney's TV networks and streaming services combined. But the world's central repository of video content is now taking a risky gamble, while also facing its first real competition in years.
The biggest threat for YouTube is that someone could come along and do what they did 20 years ago.
And so, with novel threats knocking at its door, can a wealthy, grown-up YouTube still keep its kids engaged?
You're still here.
YouTube has a knack for survival. Should humanity accidentally deploy a planet-wide exit strategy, Earth may well just be old Nokia phones, Twinkies, and YouTube servers. And it has youngsters to thank for that.
The vast majority of teens consume YouTube content every single day. Most of the products that were popular when I was a teen are either extinct or they're for the boomer generation at this point.
Just imagine MySpace or MSN Messenger holding prime real estate on billions of our home screens.
The site was founded in 2005. Sharing video online was just beginning.
YouTube provided this really easy way for people to just seamlessly share these little moments that might have once been stuck in sort of home video land.
Within a year, YouTube was serving 30 million videos a day to 9 million people a month, with about 30,000 new clips being added every 24 hours.
Johnny!
Broadband internet, advances in video compression software, and tools like Adobe Flash combined to help YouTube become the internet's preferred way of broadcasting itself.
One of their major reasons for the success their first year was that people could embed it into MySpace, which at the time was incredibly popular.
Although that made hosting and serving up video files expensive.
One of the founders put up a pretty major bill on his personal credit card.
It had also caught the attention of some deep-pocketed businesses at a pivotal stage in their own evolution.
Google was very worried they would become obsolete if they did not have a social media component to their business.
So it snapped up YouTube for $1.6 billion, enough for the founders to pay off their credit cards, go back and look at some more elephants, and have change to spare. And change really is the operative word here.
This was the beginning of this sort of user-generated internet.
So what had Google actually bought? At the time, a big viral success story was Brie Avery, better known as the character Lonely Girl 15.
Hi guys.
It tapped into what YouTube did best.
I don't really know how my parents would react to this.
She was sort of talking to the audience as if they knew her.
And countless other young people achieved cult status doing the same, including Boxy, aka actress Catherine Wayne.
I was like, I am not trolling! I am Boxy, you see?
The old tastemakers that had kind of determined what would be in vogue, that was starting to change, and YouTube really catalyzed that shift.
Not without some irony and costly legal crises, though, thanks to YouTube's belly full of copyrighted material from those old tastemakers.
And they interpreted it this way that, listen, if someone's going to ask us to take it down, we will, but until then, we're going to keep it up.
That soon came to a head.
It's the latest round of charges and countercharges in Viacom's billion-dollar copyright infringement lawsuit against YouTube.
Viacom ended up accusing YouTube and Google of knowingly putting up that copyright and making money from it.
After 7 years of back and forth, the companies eventually settled. Still, YouTube needed to convince the rest of the industry it was legit. What it did changed the direction of the platform for the next decade, and so began Act 2. Amid the Viacom ordeal and with a global music scandal still in recent memory, Google rolled out something called Content ID.
And that effectively is a piece of software that can detect when copyrighted material shows up in a video, and then it gives the owner the ability to either remove that video or make money from any ads that appear on that. And sort of overnight, that system basically let YouTube coexist with the record labels, with Hollywood studios, with TV networks. And we saw this major shift where they were willing to go to YouTube, in part because they saw a commercial pathway.
And a lucrative one. Over the last 5 years, YouTube ads consistently made up 10 to 11% of all Alphabet's revenue, which has roughly doubled in that time from $183 billion to $350 billion in 2024. That year, YouTube ad sales hit $36 billion, almost as much as Disney, Paramount, Fox, and NBC Universal combined. But back to our timeline. In 2010, YouTube introduced the next key feature that would lead to all that.
They built this format called the skippable ad, which seems kind of counterintuitive, but now we're all familiar with this, right?
Skippable ads incentivized marketing departments to create compelling promos that people wouldn't want to ignore.
Whether you own one donkey or dozens, we can help protect what matters most.
And then, this.
When I grow up, I'ma be a supermodel.
In 2012, YouTube made this seismic change in switching over to prioritize what it's called watch time.
This disincentivized clickbaity videos and encouraged users to upload stuff people actually wanted to watch.
Beauty vlogging, makeup tutorials became really popular, video game live streams.
And that's in part why podcasts are really popular on YouTube. People put it on in the background and just keep it on for hours and hours.
The total amount of time people spend watching short clips remains significant, but more time's now given to videos 20 minutes or longer than all the little ones put together. Come to think of it, we should probably have padded this video out a bit more. Have a cat on a keyboard. In its second decade of life, YouTube's enduring popularity with younger audiences brought about new obstacles.
One of the most infamous crises they had to deal with was New Year's Eve 2018. Logan Paul at the time was one of the biggest YouTubers in the world and had gone to shoot this series in Japan.
This forest is also known as the Japanese suicide forest.
I should have never posted the video. I'm sorry.
YouTube toughened its content policies after this, but vetting the 20 million uploads it says users make each day is notoriously difficult.
There's been, in the mid-2010s, terrorism content on YouTube that people found was being advertised against, and that's just not something that any advertiser wants.
You saw a major boycott of advertisers at the start of 2017 around content moderation issues.
Most returned after content rules were tightened further, and non-compliant videos were removed more quickly. But YouTube now exists in a political era, at least in the US, where aggressive moderation is less popular.
Their trust and safety teams have been really hit hard by layoffs in recent years.
YouTube and Google are both trying to have a lighter touch, not really moderate so heavily.
They'll need to deal with those industry-wide responsibilities while maintaining the unique loyalty of YouTube's users and the 20 billion videos they've uploaded, and do so in the face of unprecedented competition. That will define how YouTube will do from here on out, in its third act.
YouTube has many existential threats: regulatory pressure, misinformation, antitrust issues.
And the new elephant in the room.
The massive repository of videos that YouTube has built up through the years has become this incredibly valuable asset to train AI models.
It doesn't allow other companies to scrape its data, but it kind of gives some wiggle room that Google itself could be doing the scraping for its own AI model.
And so it's a real moral dilemma. You know, in some extreme cases, people think of it as stealing.
And so now there's a real fear among some creators that they have unwittingly armed artificial intelligence to replace them.
Google DeepMind has developed a video generation AI model. And so you type in whatever thing you want to see in a video, and then the AI model will generate the actual content.
Or possibly just vast quantities of junk, so-called AI slop.
And, you know, as that takes over platforms like Google Search and YouTube, it is a challenge for the platforms to wade through more of this stuff.
Although the jury's out on whether this is bad for YouTube.
Fundamentally, it's an advertising company, and if there's more AI content on there, there could just be more advertising.
Talk to people inside the company, their explanation here is that they are building these AI tools for creators that are going to be incredibly beneficial to them.
Things like translation and dubbing, which can help creators reach foreign audiences.
The words I'm saying right now could be instantaneously in Spanish, in Mandarin. 而且不仅如此，他们还会用我的声音说话，就好像我是一个以普通话为母语的人一样。
But for anyone unhappy with Google's AI strategy, there's now that real alternative we mentioned.
TikTok has become probably the fiercest competition that YouTube has faced in its lifetime. TikTok is not only very popular with the younger generation, it's also probably the first platform to come around and build up a successful creator industry.
YouTube still pulls the greatest number of teenage eyeballs, if you'll forgive the horrific mental image, but TikTok isn't far behind, prioritizing the short, snappy viral treats YouTube used to feast on.
YouTube really needs to remain the go-to place for young people. That is what has kept it at the center of the conversation for so long.
There's a former executive at YouTube that told me this. It was these 3 different stages that every company goes through: joke, threat, obvious. In YouTube's first years, it was kind of seen as a joke. It was dogs on skateboards. It was a ragtag team. It was not taken very seriously. Then its next evolution was becoming this threat, a threat to social media companies, a threat to television in Hollywood. Then it entered a third phase where it is obvious. It's just there. It is the sleeping giant of modern media.
But to keep it that way and defy the metaphorical warheads of politics, AI, and TikTok, YouTube needs the future Lonely Girl 15s and Boxies of the world to trust it. They formed the bedrock of the platform's success, and for the first time, they no longer need to stay subscribed.
I think that's about it. Bye!
Yo, so did you change the pump?
The pump's new yet. Burned out. Completely burned out. It was hot.
Daniel Alameda is a third-generation farmer in the Salinas Valley, where he grows thousands of acres worth of broccoli, cabbage, and lettuce, among other things. Like with any farmer, the scourge of his operation is weeds. And about a year ago, Alameda turned to a cutting-edge solution, an AI-powered weeder. The device, which attaches to the back of his existing tractors, uses high-resolution cameras and sensors to automatically detect unwelcome plants and spray them with a precise dot of herbicide.
So what the driver sees in the cab is real-time footage of what's happening. The crop that's there and the weeds that we are trying to remove. The driver sees the machine analyzing the data and then taking the shot. You're seeing decisions made in real time. We definitely had no AI not that long ago. The owner, operator, manager was the AI. We were making the decisions. But we realized quickly about 10 years ago that we could use software to make better decisions. We are trusting AI to make us better, more efficient, and faster.
We're starting to kind of notice AI getting a lot more penetration on farms across the country. Farmers are using things such as drones, autonomous plows, crop sprayers that can tell the difference using AI between a weed and a crop. And a lot of them are using data collection to just suck up all of the information from the farm. John Deere is the biggest farm machinery maker, and they have a goal by 2030 to be able to farm 100% autonomously. So I think this stuff is here to stay. And there's really not a lot of other ways to just kind of get it all done.
At UC Davis, researchers are using AI in another way, to better understand individual crop genes, so they can make them healthier or more resilient to changes in the environment.
What you're seeing here, the first prototype in half a day was this thing, a bird box right now. It's one thing to collect the data. That part's actually kind of easy. You go out in the field, you collect the data, but then you generate this massive data set. It's like, imagine if you took your camera, instead of just taking red, green, and blue, which is what it does now, took another 400 bands of light. So it's this cube of pictures. And so what you end up with is this massive data set that has to be processed somehow.
That's where artificial intelligence comes in. Scientists at Davis are training computer models to detect everything from the size and shape of a flower to the direction that a leaf is pointing.
Plant breeding is really interesting application for AI. Let's say we're working on bee. In this example here, what we have is over 330 different genotypes of beans that have been planted out in a field. And so what you're looking for is like maybe some of these have really big beans or certain patterns, or the protein content is high or the fat content is high. It's just really hard to measure and see and score by humans on the ground. And then if we can process all that data using machine learning and AI, it allows us to extract those complex traits. I think farmers from 50 years ago, if they saw what AI could potentially provide them today, I think they'd be very excited. Using computer vision, we can rapidly accelerate that process of searching through all these possible children, right? The traits that we care about. And so it can take us from taking 30 years to breed the crops that we want to maybe taking 3 years. The fact that we can then take something that seems so state-of-the-art and advanced, like AI and machine learning, and bring those two together, I think there's something really magical about that idea.
What's the right time of year for me to begin setting up my raised bed nursery?
The best time to start setting up your raised bed nursery for transplanting paddy saplings.
The AI tools being created in collaboration with the team at Davis aren't just about using AI to process and analyze data. Rick and Gandhi has been building a large language model app for farmers in developing nations.
So the small scale farm we work with are primarily in South Asia and in Sub-Saharan Africa, specifically in India, Kenya, Ethiopia, Nigeria. You could say that what we're building is a type of ChatGPT for farmers, but they're not looking for generic Wikipedia or ChatGPT answers. They're looking for information that is proximate to them and location specific. There's a bunch of challenges that we face. There's a need to support all the various languages and dialects that farmers speak. They don't use scientific terminologies like kilograms or percentages or chemical names. We need to be able to train these systems for speech-to-text recognition, for their local colloquialisms and vernacular, and also not just speech-to-text, but also text-to-speech, so that farmers who often have low literacy can be able to interact with these systems.
Of course, AI is not without its own environmental costs, something those working in farming are all too aware of. Training a large language model can use up millions of gallons of water, and data centers dedicated to artificial intelligence can do real damage to the land and power grids around them.
These farming communities have been so often left out of our collective improvements of digital technologies. And so I think that we also have to ensure that there is inclusivity to be able to access this technology, even if there might be an expense of energy and cost for them to do so. It's about providing them more of a level playing field.
How AI impacts the environment and is that relevant to agriculture is a really important one we should be asking. On the research side, we're using, honestly, very small amounts of resources, like a few GPUs, 8 to train these, whereas some of these large language models are using more like tens to hundreds of thousands for many months as opposed to 8 hours. So I don't worry too much about our personal impacts. I know what they are. But I think like when you think of scale, like of the industry, I definitely worry about the energy effects of AI. We are at the beginning. It's moving quickly. And I think we come back and revisit this 3 to 5 years from now, we're going to be pretty blown away with the impacts that it's had already.
Okay, so what we're going to show here is, so this is the live feed from the robot, right? We have Dai here to see the shots well.
The weed-killing robot that Daniel Alameda used on his farm is produced by a company called Verdant Robotics. Gabe Sibley, who spent his early years working on the Mars rover, founded the company in 2018.
The machine knows where it is in space, so it's got spatial AI that allows it to solve the where problem. Where am I? It also solves the what problem. What am I looking at? Is it a carrot? Is it a weed? What type of weed?
Initially, people thought that autonomous navigation would be a really valuable thing to bring to market. The thing that you have to understand is that it's not the navigation of the tractor that's the job they're worried about. It's the 100 people walking behind the tractor that are opting to go work at Starbucks or Walmart or in a data center labeling images. That shift in labor is the one that's causing them heartache. Efficiencies we need in ag are substantial. In the next 50 years, there are folks that say we need to grow as much food as we've grown in the last 10,000 years. Half of the habitable land on Earth is already under cultivation. We have to do it more sustainably and more efficiently.
What you'll hear over and over is just the tight labor market. There's never enough sort of field workers or machinery operators. A lot of farmers would not recommend their children staying on the farm and would kind of push their kids to find careers elsewhere. But these machines are also an opportunity to attract, the younger generation that's interested in video games or that's interested in new technology. And that might be a way to sort of start clawing back some of the folks from the city back to the farm.
We have just stuck our big toe in the water for the first time, and it seems like it might be inviting. It's also a little scary. We don't know exactly what's going to happen. As a species, as we start to automate all types of work, really not just agriculture, you've now entrusted all that work to a machine. And so we better make sure that we are still in control. The difficulty then is like if the switch goes off, do we remember how to farm? We better.